right. Hello, everyone. I'm Nika Cherrelles, and this is the ItCast Live. We are now going live weekly, and this episode is the ItCast Real Talk on Privilege. Thank you so much for joining us today. Before we begin, this episode is brought to you by the Nikita sex toy. This is the first sex toy designed for play, adventure, and social change. You can learn more about the Nikita at triggerhappytoy.com. So this week's topic is privilege, and we have our new correspondent in the booth today. Her name is Kim. She is joining us from Austin, Texas. Kim, please share a little bit about yourself so the audience can get to know you.
Okay, well, I was born in the 60s, so I'm a little bit older than you, Nika. I have two kids, Dom and Bree. Bree's got my grandson, Jaden. Dom's engaged to Kat, so she's my bonus daughter, about to be bonus daughter. I have a background in psychology. I did not complete my degree, but I got all the way to my internship. I have a license in real estate. I am a licensed reverend. And the thing I'm most proud of is that I'm a licensed metaphysical practitioner. So I was born in Texas, all white neighborhood, went to an all white school. We moved in the early 70s to New Orleans, and I went to an all white suburban neighborhood again. And then at that point, they were doing integration. So for the young folks that are not familiar with segregation and integration, that was still going on. So I have a little bit of education in that area. But that's pretty much it, I think.
Awesome. Sorry.
Are you there?
I am here. That is fantastic. So we are going to refer to you as our resident white girl, and we are so glad to have you on the show. Really,
or I can be the token white girl.
Well, we've had more than one. So.
Oh, okay. All right.
But you are definitely here to stay. We love having your energy and all of the powerful things that you're here to share with us. So let's just go ahead and dive into our conversation, looking at privilege and really what that means here in the United States with all of the different conversations around race and social justice and everything that's up right now. I'm really experiencing that people are relating to privilege newly. So I would love to hear your shares around, like what you've learned and experienced throughout your life.
Well, I'd like to explain to everyone, I call it like the white bubble. So I have friends that grew up in all white neighborhoods, went to all white schools, and they're not exposed to any of this. And it's not that they're racist or any of that. They're just ignorant to the reality of it. So, and then of course we have the other people on the other side who are very hateful. They're very racist, and they're ignorant beyond belief. And then we have another group of white folks who are, we're very compassionate. We're very woke. We're eager to help in any way we can. I appreciate you having me here on this platform to have this opportunity to have this conversation between a white girl and a black girl. Oh, and those of you who don't know, I'm white. So, there's that. And I didn't realize that I was getting white privilege until I was with my mixed group of friends, mostly my black friends, who are pointing it out to me. And so there was one time I was leaving a funeral, and this was a few years ago. So I was leaving a funeral, and I hate to describe people as white or black, but it's imperative to the conversation. Yeah. So the family was majority white, and my the friend of the family, and my friend was black. So she was following me in the car behind. She was behind me, and I was in the middle lane, and we were stoplight. And so she was behind me, and she's texting me. She goes, "Kim, you're about to get pulled over." And I'm like, what the hell? I was getting pissed because I'm at a stoplight. I used my blinker. I didn't do anything. So there was a cop on the left of me, and he had his flashlight shining on my plates and stuff. I had a very nice car. I had custom plates and all that. And so he's just calling in my plates to see if I'm legal or not. But my girlfriend said something to me that I will never forget. I said, "What the hell are you talking about?" I'm like, "I'm not going to get pulled over." And she goes, "I'm going to pull over." She goes, "You're getting pulled over, and I'm going to pull over behind you in case you go to jail." And at that point, I'm not thinking like that because I'm white. I don't have to worry about it. I'm not in fear of the cops, but that's her experience. That was her experience with the law. So, as soon as the light turns green, whoop, whoop, I'm like, ah. And so now I'm getting more angry. So I get pulled over. She pulls over behind us, and he's like, license and, insurance. And I'm like, "Excuse me, and I'm just this white bitch, going, why are you pulling me over?" "Well, we can do a random check and call your plates in and see if you're up to date on everything and, blah, blah, blah." So now I'm flaming mad. Okay. So this guy is just talking to me, and he's flirting with me, and I didn't realize it. And he's like, "Well, I really like your license plates. They're really funny. I just want to see who you are and, blah, blah, blah." So he gives me everything back, and he's shining the light in my car, Nika. And I have a small little bottle of wine in my cup holder. It was still closed. Oh, yeah. So I'm like, oh, wow, shit, I'm screwed. So he goes, "Hey, excuse me, do you always drive around with a little bit of wine in your car?" And I was like, "No." I said, "I'm just leaving a funeral." Then I started playing the game. Then I started how can I manipulate this guy? How can I get out of this situation? Oh my God, he can arrest me right now. Right.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm just leaving the, funeral. We're going to meet the family. And he was like, "Okay, I'm going to let you go. You get off on a warning." So we go and meet the family, and they're really cool. And so my black girlfriend is like, "What happened?" And I told her what happened, and she goes, "Kim, you just had white privilege." I'm like, yeah. No, I didn't. And she's like, "Yeah, you did." And then I had another one of my black girlfriends come and meet us at the restaurant, and she just smacked me on the arm, and she goes, "You just had white privilege." And I, chills just ran up my spine because I was like, oh my God, yeah, I did. Because my black girlfriend was already anticipating me being arrested because that's her experience, but it's not mine. So it was very profound. It was very profound. And I'd like to share another story about my son. He's 30 years old now. My kids are half Italian and half white. So they have a very Italian last name, but they're light-eyed and light hair. So he used to get in a lot of trouble.
People, we don't really see much difference between Italian and white.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but they're light skinned. So my son had been in trouble with the law quite a bit, and he got arrested again. And I talked to one of my guy friends, and he's black. And he said, "Kim," he goes, "I'm going to tell you something." He goes, "The only reason why your son is still alive and he was not shot by the police, he was not tased by the police, is simply because of the color of his skin." Mm-hmm. And I could not argue with that, because, he had a rap sheet a mile long. He was a threat to law enforcement. So there's been these very compelling moments in my life, out of the white bubble, to where my Black friends have pointed this out to me, and it is undeniable. I'd also like to say, that my ex-brother-in-law was on the police force for 20 years. He's Italian, and my friends, they're really good friends of mine. He's a sergeant on the police force, and they worked together for 20 years. So they're both considered, not white, I guess. So I hear, they treat people with respect. So I'm not here to say that, all, people that wear the uniform are bad, but a lot of people are abusing their power right now. Too many Black people are dying because of it. There are more Black men incarcerated in jails and prison right now than there were in slavery. It's got to stop. These things have got to stop.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, this isn't even really a right now phenomenon. This is the systemic history of the way that the police system was built and enforced. And these are just people in the uniforms. A cousin of mine in Kansas City, he's a police officer, and he's a really good one. And it still doesn't shift the fear and the way that we're trained and socialized differently. Like, I don't drive because I've been pulled over, and there's no way that I would have been in a conversation of like, well, like, like being angry or pissed off or flirtatious. And,
yeah.
like for me, it's just like, okay, sit very still, breathe,
you know what, Nika?
Hands on the steering wheel.
And let me address that, if you don't mind me interrupting you. So I've had this conversation with many of my Black friends, and I never had to have this conversation with my son, even though he was, arrested many times. But what I want the white folks to understand is that the Black community they have to educate their Black children, especially their sons, on, if you get pulled over, you put your hands on the steering wheel, or you roll down the window, you put your hands out the window. Do not reach for your wallet. Do not reach for your ID. Do not reach for your insurance in your glove box. Do not do that. And they tell them to be submissive to the officers so they don't get tased, they don't get pepper sprayed, and they don't get shot. That's bullshit. That's got to change.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that I think is so powerful, you mentioned that, there's so many Black men and Black people dying. I mean, men and women. And what I'm discovering and noticed for a long time is that because we have so much social media, like literally, like we become the people who document everything that's happening. Now we get to see it.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah, because it's been happening since before slavery ended, and it's still been perpetuating. Now we actually have the power in our hands to say something and do something about it and let the world know, which makes a huge difference.
Right.
Yeah, so talk more about, white privilege and some of the other concepts that you were sharing around, like go ahead.
Okay, well, I can tell, I have many stories.
let's talk about the shoes.
Okay, well, I want to say this. There's a country western guy. I don't listen to country, so I don't know who he is, but Morgan Wallen was on the news, and he was getting dropped off at his house, and everybody has those cameras on their house. And of course we can take video. and he was just dropping the N-word like it was no big deal. Okay. So to all the white folks out there, I just want to tell you, out of respect, please do not use that term. And some people think it's okay if it's with the A on the end. It's not okay. It is a derogatory remark. It is disrespect, and it should not be tolerated. But this guy, I mean, they're banning him. They're, I guess he's the biggest country music star right now. I don't know, because I don't listen to that crap, but, but I'm glad that people are saying this is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. A lot of people use it as a term of endearment. If you're Black, you can use it. If you're white, you can't. It's just like, I'll call my girlfriends and say, hey, what's up, the B word, but it rhymes with witches, I'm trying not to get us like banned off YouTube. I'm trying so hard. So, and it's a term of endearment, but it has nothing to do with a racial slur. It has nothing to do with systemic racism. It has nothing to do with any of that. So I just want white people to understand that. I mean, I don't even care if I'm at a gathering with all my Black friends and we're like family. I would never say that. It is inappropriate. It is disrespectful. So with that being said, I'd like to go into another story.
Before you go forward, I just want to put in, I'm really grateful that those conversations are happening within the white community. It's something that, for as long as I've been alive, there have been debates and back and forth, like who can say it, who can't say it. And I personally don't use it as a Black person. And I prefer that people the world over don't use that term, but it can be really damaging when I'm around people that I know and love who are not Black, and I hear them saying it, even if they're calling each other that. Like, it doesn't feel okay. And when I step up and say something about it, it becomes, oh, well, you're angry, you got a chip on your shoulder, like, they're the Black people go again with an upset. And it's like, but you didn't get it the first time. And the fact that it's happening now within the white community and you're talking to each other about it and really like doing policing on that level is huge. It's huge. So thank you for really like putting that in.
No. Thank you for the platform. And I mean, we can go all the way back to slavery because that's where it stems from, systemic racism, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're in, white people, we weren't kidnapped from our country. We weren't lied to and bribed. We weren't raped. We weren't pillaged. We weren't beaten. We weren't lynched. We weren't killed. Those are the facts, right? Yeah. So back in the day, they're talking down to the Black people or the slaves, or even when freedom was given, but it's really not freedom. And it was still segregation. You had to drink at a different water fountain. You had to sit at the back of the bus. You had to do all this shit. Black people were still, white people were still harassing white people and calling them the N-word. It is not appropriate. It's not acceptable because it stems all the way back from over 300 years. And for me, I see on a spiritual level, I'm a metaphysical practitioner. So it's like embedded in your DNA. So we have these societal crap, I guess is what it's called. So, we may get different weird beliefs from religion or society, government, our parents, our peers, the news. It doesn't matter. So what I like to do is help deprogram people and just, help heal whatever is happening in them and just relax a little bit and have compassion towards everyone. We are all spiritual beings having a human experience. We are one collective consciousness. We are just like Bob Marley said, one love. We're one love. I mean, that's it. If we were all the same, it would be so boring. I love the diversity. I love the different colors. I love the different attitudes. I love, people who piss me off, because I learn the most from them. These are the things that are great. Nika, do you want me to talk about when I went to the bar?
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay, we should title this athletic wear. Are you still laughing?
A little bit.
Okay, so I used to live in a nice neighborhood in Austin, and I don't think I'm going to mention the name, but they have shops, they have restaurants, they have bars and everything. And so, I'd just be sitting in my apartment working from home on real estate, no makeup on, and my leggings, yoga pants, flip-flops, tennis shoes, wife beater, whatever. And my friends would call me, hey, we're downstairs. Come on downstairs. Let's grab a bite to eat, or, let's go to happy hour. So I would go, just dress like I was. I never got refused from a bar. I never got turned away. I was always in athletic gear because, or a long dress, whatever. And I met one of my girlfriends. And again, I'm going to describe that she's Black. She's a beautiful Black girl. And she ran into some friends of hers. And one guy is white and one guy is Black. So we had black, white, black, white. And they wanted to go to another bar. The streets are closed off. You just walk across. So I said, okay, we'll go to this one, and then I got to go home. And the funny thing is that I knew the guy at the bar, or at the door, and he was going to let the white guy in, my Black girlfriend in, and me in, but not the Black guy. So I said, what's the reason? Like, why are you not letting him in? Well, because he has white sneakers on. Read the sign up here, Kim. It's considered athletic gear. I go, I come in here, once a week in athletic gear. Like, and we have realtor events. We have all kinds of stuff. So I was stunned by that. I mean, stunned. And and another thing I want white people to understand is, if you're constantly judged, if you're constantly degraded, if you're constantly, beaten down, if you go into a store, like even when I go into the store with my girlfriends and stuff, they're treated differently than I am. I don't have to worry about security following me around. They do. When you have that happen to you over and over and over again, you might explode. There's going to come a breaking point. Okay. So there's a bench, from the door. It's about 5 feet. And I just thought, shit, I sat down, I got my phone out, and I started videotaping. Okay. So this guy snapped. And I understood in that moment why he snapped, because it has been a lifetime of degradation and suppression and judgment and racism and just all these things. So I got it. So I'm videotaping it, and they're going back and forth fighting. I mean, having words. And then these young white guys that don't, in my opinion, have no money. They're, whatever. They come out. 3 of them had white sneakers on.
Wow.
So I keep videotaping. Then this older white gentleman walks by, and he sees the scuffle going on. I mean, they weren't getting physical, but he was like, man, I can't believe you're not letting me in. But it was getting really heated. And this white gentleman walks by and he goes, do you know who that is? He played professional ball. He's a Heisman Trophy winner. And you're treating him so disrespectful. And then the white guy got into it with him. It was like all over the place. So, I mean, it was so disheartening for me. And, when I'm with a mixed group of friends, I see how people of color are treated differently, and I cannot deny it. And, my black girlfriend, she contacted the NAACP, and I didn't know she did. Well, then I have the NAACP blowing up my cell phone. I go, oh no, what did I do? I don't know what's happening. So and I was like, why are they calling? I'm like, why are y'all calling me? And they were like, you have the video. We want the video. And I said, hell yeah, you can have the video. So I sent the video over, and she handled it. And I don't know what came of that, but it's just wrong. And it happens daily. It happens morning, noon, and night. Yeah. And it's oh my God, if that happened to me all the time, I would be a raving bitch. And I just don't know what I would do.
Yeah. And what I love that you put in here is that you're really pointing to the policies. It's like racism is ingrained in our systems. And when it comes down to like whether or not you're enforcing the policy for certain people or not, that really is where the privilege comes from and stems from. I want to just share just a little bit, looking at the whole conversation around privilege operating as a weapon and what just happened with these DC riots. I mean, that was insane. That was entirely insane. And when you look at that, it's like, if that was any other group of people of any other color, there's no way they would have made it past the front lawn. There's no way they would have made it through the doors. And there's no way that would have gone on in the media for 48 hours without being considered a terroristic threat. That kind of thing is like when you begin to recognize that privilege has been used systemically as a weapon against particular people to hold them in a certain place. And on the note of athletic gear, I mean, growing up in Kansas City, I would hear all the advertisements all the time on the radio, like, oh yeah, hot party at this club, no athletic gear. And it did not occur for me, because I was so young, that is actually something that they were doing to hold certain people out. Like whether or not you had anything other than athletic gear, didn't matter how good it looked, any of that, it was a way to keep certain people out, and not even just based on like a way to say it without saying that it's a color conversation. Mm-hmm. It's sneaky, and it's pretty gross. Yeah. All right, we are coming up on time here. We didn't get a chance to discuss the white bubble, which I'm just going to throw out as a teaser. We're going to talk about that next week, because it's just too juicy to like let that one slide and really get that out there so that the audience can understand what these deeper systems are that we're pointing to and talking about. So as we wrap up, I do want to thank everyone for joining us today. And Kim, is there anything that you would like to share before we complete this episode?
I have one thing to share with the white folks. If you have Netflix and you have not watched this movie, it is Hello Privilege. It's Me, Chelsea. It is a documentary about her exploring just the different ways that white people are treated and Black people are treated. And it's very educational. I think it will help. I think we have to have more compassion and more love. Thank you, Nika, for having me on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, my goddess.
Thank you. Thank you. You were incredible. Thank you for your shares and your honesty and openness in this conversation. Everyone out there, next week, I will be speaking on the Fierce Vulnerability Conference on February 10th with Sophia Casey. Also, tune into our episode next week, February 11th. We're going to deepen this conversation on privilege and really looking at these cultural and societal social norms. The last thing, this episode is brought to you by the Nikita Sex Toy, designed for adventure play and social change. Learn more at triggerhappytoy.com. And you can find more about our work in the ItCast on Anchor FM, as well as NikaCherrelles.com. That's NikaCherrelles.com. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next week.
Woo, namaste. Thank you.